Broadway Up Close, the hottest shows, the brightest stars.
You know, the older I'm getting, the more I just want to work with people I really love.
There was no time for me to get into any trouble. I worked every day but Mondays.
You got it. And to me, that was just like, okay, I don't need to hear more because I don't want to overthink it.
Fox 5 with unprecedented access behind the scenes.
So how long does it take to get the actors ready?
Well, we have a half an hour.
At home.
I'll come home and do the next feeding.
And on stage. Outside the Stephen Sondheim Theater on West 43rd Street, The Drifters.
They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. On Broadway. They say there's always magic in the air on Broadway. But when you're walking down the street and you ain't had enough to eat, the glitter rubs right off and you're nowhere. On Broadway. They say the women treat you fine on Broadway. On Broadway. But looking at them just gives me the blues. On Broadway. 'Cause how you gonna make some time when all you got is one thin dime, and one thin dime won't even shine your shoes. On Broadway. I won't wait till I'm a star. I won't wait till I'm a star. I won't wait till I'm a star. On Broadway.
Wow, Anna, I can't think of a better way to start this half hour than being serenaded by the Drifters from the cast of Beautiful.
That was so great. And tonight on Broadway Up Close, we've got your backstage pass to all the biggest shows and the biggest stars.
Carole King wrote these hits long before going solo. Now, Jessie Mueller shares King's timeless melodies and life story with a modern audience in Beautiful, the Carole King musical.
It's wild to be able to go on stage every night and pretend to be the person that could write this music, that could have that talent.
Jessie welcomed us into her dressing room minutes before performing another sold-out show. She looks back on how she won the now Tony-nominated role.
So I think in the audition I did like a little bit in between. I tried to do little touches of her sort of vocal quality and then, you know, enough of my own voice.
King's best-selling 1971 album Tapestry sits on a shelf above us, one of the records that helped Jessie perfect Carole King's tone.
Then I started collecting stuff on vinyl and I started listening to it that way, which was really great and informative because it's just it's a different listening experience and it literally sounds different.
I'd like to know.
Jessie also plays the piano on stage, but the sound comes from below.
The orchestra is so key for me because I'm being a musician and they make me feel like a musician. I'm up there playing the keys because the keys are fully functional, but the sound you're hearing is from Jason Howland in the pit.
In order to play Carole through the years, Jessie also needs these.
The first change we do is 29 seconds, I think. So we're going from a full, like Carole King Carnegie Hall into like Carole King 16 years old.
Carole King, now 72 years old, waited 4 months to see the show, fearing it would be too painful to watch. One night, she surprised the cast and showed up unannounced.
What did she say to you, and what did you ask her?
She kind of was like, you're doing it, you got it. And to me, that was just like, okay, I don't need to hear more because I don't want to overthink it. So I was really happy.
Will Swinson shines in the Tony-nominated revival of Les Miserables, an opportunity he's been waiting for since he was 13.
We took a road trip down to Los Angeles to see the show, and it just blew our minds, and I thought, I want to be up there. And Yeah, I always wanted to be in Les Mis.
After auditioning for the show for years, he plays Police Inspector Javert, who hunts fugitive Jean Valjean until it kills him.
The whole time he thinks he's doing the right thing, so that makes it fun. It's all really gray. And that's the great thing about Les Mis is it's the journey from wickedness to you know, God, and maybe vice versa for my character.
When he got the part, Will revisited Victor Hugo's famous novel and physically traced Javert's footsteps in Paris.
It just put everything in a more realistic, you know, perspective.
From hippie hunk Burger in Hair to a flamboyant drag queen in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, there's no limit to what Will Swinson can do. But he admits the dark side of the theater is especially thrilling.
And it's always fun to play somebody with a little bit of dirt on him, a little bit of bad guys. A lot of fun to do.
She's back on Broadway for the first time in over a decade and immediately nominated for another Tony. Her new show is If Then.
The older I'm getting, the more I just want to work with people I really love.
In her first musical since Wicked, Idina Menzel plays Elizabeth, a woman rebuilding her life in Manhattan. The contemporary musical reunites Menzel with old pals from Rent and Wicked.
Michael Greif is the director of Rent, and Anthony, David Stone from Wicked, and Mark Platt from Wicked.
She found out about the Tony nomination as she was driving her son to school. Naturally, he's a big fan of her Oscar-winning movie role in Frozen.
The most beautiful thing about it is giving my son a bath and having him sing the song back to me. And I know as he gets, he's only 4, but as he gets a little older, he'll start to appreciate it even more.
Billy Porter is the dazzling lead of Kinky Boots, an infectious, uplifting musical about the unlikely partnership between a British shoemaker and a drag queen named Lola. Billy won a Tony and a Grammy for his portrayal of Lola last year.
Does that add more pressure when you get on stage or relieve some pressure?
I don't receive it that way. I receive it as a validation.
Long before Lola, there was Effie. Dreamgirls is the show that hooked Billy on Broadway.
Seeing Jennifer Holliday on the Tony Awards, that was the defining moment.
Looking back on his first acting gig as a 15-year-old in Pittsburgh, Billy says musical theater saved his life.
It was the best job to have as a teenager from the ghetto because, you know, there was no time for me to get into any trouble, and it really prepared me for the rigors of the industry.
From there, he made his way to Broadway, making his New York debut in the original cast of Miss Saigon. Billy's been in high demand on TV, film, and the stage ever since. He's coming up on 500 performances in Kinky Boots and just released a new album entitled Billy's Back on Broadway.
For me, it's more about how can I use the gifts that I've been given to be of service.
I'm inspired standing in Billy's presence and his dressing room. The walls covered in fond memories and extraordinary milestones. But of course, I couldn't resist raiding Lola's closet.
Do you ever get used to wearing this high of a heel?
Well, I have to tell you, I am the little kid at the beginning of the show who is prancing around in little heels. You know, I used to go into my Aunt Sharon's closet and put on her heels when I was a little wee tyke. So
you've had years of training.
I've had years of secret training.
Coming up, from the silver screen to center stage.
The director and I were thinking about what play to do next. He said, let's do Raising the Sun.
The Hollywood A-listers shining bright on Broadway. Then, backstage and beyond.
How long does it take to get the actors ready? Well, we have half an hour.
A rare look behind the curtain.
He's behind the glass to protect everyone else from the noise.
The sights and sounds backstage like you've never seen before.